Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Kevin Cosby, pastor of St. Stephen Baptist Church, president of Simmons College of Kentucky. I would like to make an announcement concerning my health. Wednesday night, I received a call from a medical personnel, and they informed me that I had tested positive for COVID-19. Barnetta and I took the test on Monday. This is the second time we've taken the test in several weeks, and I received the news late Wednesday night that I was COVID-19 positive, and Barnetta is not, she's negative. I would like you to know that I am doing fine. My symptoms are very mild. I have no respiratory problems at all. I am at home, and it is my intention to quarantine at home and to take care of myself. But I am doing quite well, and the only symptoms I have is a very slight fever and sometimes some chills that Tylenol has taken care of. But I want you to know that I am doing fine. And in fact, I'm doing some walking out in my yard and even walked on my treadmill yesterday, which was recommended by my doctor to help strengthen and keep my lungs functioning. So I'm taking my vitamin C and my vitamin D and my zinc, and I am quarantining. And I think uh, this indicates how anyone can contract this disease. It's a very opportunistic disease. I was attempting to do all of the right things, social distance. I never went out except to go to church or to go to Simmons College. But as I said, this disease is very opportunistic, and I contracted it. And so just want to encourage you to learn from my example, that you would do everything you can to prevent yourself from contracting this disease and go get checked out. Because even if you personally is not affected and it does not harm you personally, you can pass it on to someone else who it can be very damaging to. I do solicit your continued prayers. My intent is to keep on studying. I'll keep on doing my powerful points from ponder from on powerful points to ponder. I'll do them from my study, and my goal is to get strengthened. I've got a great group of assistant preachers who are outstanding and dynamic, and they'll continue to preach on Sunday until I make my way back. But please keep me and my family in your prayers. And if at all possible, I'm trying to take care of myself. So I'll kind of keep you updated on what's going on. So I, I, I don't, I would appreciate it if I didn't get a whole lot of phone calls because when you have a congregation the size of St. Stephen Church, uh, it can be overwhelming sometimes with the phone calls. So if you could just continue to pray for me, and I'll keep you updated on how well I'm doing. Um, I'm thankful that I've got a great doctor at the church who has been a counselor for me, and not just now, but for many years. And that's Sister Giavonne Rondo, Dr. Rondo. Uh, thank you so much for your counsel, your encouragement, and your advice. What advice and counsel would you give those who are listening as a medical doctor about this, about COVID-19?
Sister, and keeping you in my prayers. So the first thing, first and foremost, as a Christian, I just want to let everyone know that God is in control. He has you. He has all of us. So that's the first thing, first and foremost. With this virus overall, there's a couple of things that I strongly advise. First of all, is getting the appropriate rest. That's so very important. Continuing to do the things that you have talked about, Reverend Cosby, in terms of staying safe and wearing masks is still very, very important. You've talked about being in quarantine, which you should. Um, You've also talked about making sure that you get the appropriate amount of nutrients. Very, very important. Vitamin C, vitamin D, especially for us as African Americans, is actually very important when we have darker skin. We don't synthesize it as much from the sun's exposure. So, taking supplemental vitamin D, but of course, checking with your own physicians is actually important. Zinc helps also with the immune system. So, eating lots of fruits and vegetables is actually very important. Drinking lots of water, staying well hydrated. You mentioned that you're still getting your exercise, so that's great. And even going outdoors, that's important. Ventilation is actually important to this whole virus. The virus tends to attack, excuse me, the lungs and the respiratory system for the most part. And the way that you um, actually get the virus into your system for the most part is through the mucosal areas, the nose, the mouth, and potentially it's not as likely, but the eyes also. So keeping those areas covered with the mask is so very important. Um, Washing hands, very, very important. And washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds is very important. If you have hand sanitizer, that's a good thing. That's a good secondary thing to have. Like I have hand sanitizer. I'm in my car right now, but I have hand sanitizer in my car. I have it when I'm in the office. I actually, even at my home, even though I have access to soap and water, I do try to have hand sanitizer actually in every room. So I just, just to make sure, and I try to sanitize also. So those things are actually very important. One of the things, particularly for you, Reverend Cosby, that I would say is reducing your stressors.
Hmm.
So that's why the rest is very, very important for you. Delegating, some of your major responsibilities would be very important for you. So those are things that I would, strongly recommend. Being able to deal with your stressors, it's just vital. It really is. Some of the things that is important, like what you're doing, is the exercise, writing things down, journaling,
Hmm.
are all things that are important. I know that that's not things that other people may recommend, but I strongly recommend that. I think that we have to take some extra steps, not only as African Americans, but as people who, maybe either middle aged or a little bit older. Um, there's this virus, it's evolving, we're learning. The learning curve for this virus is continuing to go up, and the cases are going up. We're learning more about it, but we're also we're still seeing a lot of cases. And as an African American community, and particularly people who are immunocompromised, like diabetics, people who may have cancer or whatnot,
Hmm.
it's vitally important for us to do maybe some extra steps. So you quarantining, taking care of yourself, taking care of your temple, washing your hands frequently, trying not to touch your face at all, um, are all very important.
You mentioned wearing the mask. So Barnetta is taking one side of the house, and I'm taking the other side of the house. So I'm in isolation. But even in isolation, you're recommending that still to keep the mask on, correct? Is that what you're
Well,
recommending?
actually, if you're just by yourself, you can actually take your mask off, and
Okay.
that's okay. Yeah.
I was wondering, in terms of preventing yourself from inadvertently touching your mouth or nose or things such as this. You just have to be very aware and conscious of that, I would.
Probably, yeah. You're okay if you're by yourself, pretty much, keeping your mask off and
Okay.
just kind of being aware. Yeah, you can take
Okay.
your mask off. The mask does have, it's really more when you wear your mask, it protects other people. When other people wear their mask, it protects you. But if you're at home by yourself, that's actually fine. The keys, just like any other type of virus, the keys um, is really to let the virus run its course when you
Yeah,
have maybe mild symptoms. When you are very sick, like if you're short of breath, high fever, uh, very fatigued, that's the time to actually seek medical attention and potentially be in the hospital.
I see. Okay.
So yeah.
One of my friends who I admire so much, who I think has done a great job, has been Governor Andy Bashir. And I think his leadership in our state has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm
And
just so proud of him. It's been stellar,
absolutely.
yes. But he has recommended, um, in spite of the critics, that we might not want to gather for Thanksgiving. Um,
Yeah.
what is your response to that? Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt. As a physician, but also as someone who has COVID-19 in my family, I've I'm very strong about that. Maybe a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking, well, maybe we'll just have maybe just a small little gathering. But at this point, absolutely not. We it's going to be, I'm a single mom, so it's just going to be me and my daughter in our household, and we're going to actually do some things that are going to be maybe a little bit more creative and unique. We still want to be, I don't like the term socially distant because we can still be social. We just have to be physically distant to prevent
right.
this virus from
I like
continuing to
that.
spread. So we're going to be physically distant, but we're still going to be socially connected to our family. And so what my family does, we have this thing called the Rondo Zoom that we meet every Thursday. We're going to do that next Thursday. We're going to have a Zoom giving. We're going to get on and we're still going to be connected, but we're going to be in our own individual homes. We may not be able to all be on at the same time. We're going to connect. We just cannot be together. And we're a very big family. We love being together. But for a time as this, we are not going to. And I strongly believe that even being out and about, a mask should be mandatory. We should have a mandate. We should have a national mandate on masks at this time. It's a lifesaver. So, with our new administration, I strongly believe that a national mandate for masks, if we continue to see the cases, continuing to rise, is just vitally important. In this time of Thanksgiving, where we normally get together, I think it's just safer for us to stay physically distant, but still socially connected. Definitely
Okay.
still socially connected. So if we just need to be more creative, find creative ways of still connecting, excuse me, but without being physically together, especially in those families where there's elderly members. I have a 103-year-old grandmother, and there's just no way. We've got to protect her. She, by the grace of God, has actually had COVID, and she's done well. She had to be hospitalized, but she's doing well, and so we don't want to do anything that would disrupt that
I see.
overall. But people who are 60 and
Sure.
above are considered at a high risk, or people who have certain immunocompromised states like HIV, diabetes, on steroids, asthma, things like that. So yes.
Thank you so very much for who you are. And you are such a phenomenal physician, a caring, compassionate physician. If someone wanted to contact you, how could they find out more about you? Because you're rare in our city, in the city of Louisville and vicinity. So how could they contact you?
Oh, to God be the glory completely. Yes, they can definitely contact me. I do have a website, drgiavonrondo.com, or my company is called GObile MD. And so it's www.drgiavonnerondo.com.
Thank
So
you so
thank you.
much. Thank you. And to the members, thank you so much for your prayers and your concerns. And I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do here at home. And I will continue to communicate to you and keep you up to date on my status. Please be in prayer for me And please know that I love you so very much. Peace and blessings to you.